Okay, people of my grade 7 8 class, today we learned how to graph lines, and we're going to keep practicing it for a couple more days. So there's a few key pieces of information that we learned. First, when today was the first day where we had y and x in an equation, and it's called an equation of a line. And I don't want you to get too concerned with it. What I want you to say when you see that y equals x plus 2 or y equals 4x or whatever it is, that this is showing you that it's going to be a line. And before we took it and we balanced equations and whatnot, when you see it in this form, we're going to graph it. So that's the first part to do. Now remember, one of the first things we had to do is make a t-chart. And for the grade 7s, our numbers that we're going to use are 0 through 4. For the grade 8 starting tomorrow, you'll use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Only because it uses less room on a graph when we're graphing these things. The grade 7s, however, don't do multiplication of integers, so that's why we're using all positive integers and 0 for the grade 7s. Anyhow, for the first few that you do, it's a simple substitution. Remember that this part of the t-chart is the x values, and these ones are the y values. So we're simply going to take these values here and substitute them into our equation. So y equals x plus 2. For the first one, we're going to put this 0 in there. So remember, we show substitution with brackets. That's simply 0 plus 2, and that equals 2. So when x is equal to 0, y is going to be equal to 2. And you write it in your t-chart like that. The next one, we do a couple of them just to make sure we're doing it properly. I'm just going to write x plus 2 here again. I'm going to substitute my next value, which is a 1 this time, plus 2, and that's 3. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and there's my next value here. It's not that complicated, but I'll do one more. Anyways, y equals x plus 2 is my original question. I'm going to substitute the next value in, which is this 2 right here. And now 2 plus 2 is 4. When we get to this point on our t-chart, we can start to see a pattern. And we talked today that these are all lines, and lines go up by a consistent number. It's a constant. So once we do the first few and we make sure our math is right, then we can just look at this chart and continue the pattern. So the first number is 2, then 3, then 4, and I'm sure you can see that the pattern is going to be 5 and 6. So those are our numbers, and basically what those are our coordinate pairs. Those are our points that we're going to plot on our graph. And remember, when we're plotting graphs, it goes x then y, and x are our values that go left or right, depending if they're positive or negative. And our y values are our vertical values. They either go up or down, depending on whether they're positive or negative. And we always start at the origin. So our first set of numbers is 0, 2, which means we start at the origin and we don't go left or right, we stay there. And then we go up 2. So there is our first point. Maybe I'll circle that so you know it's the origin. Our next point is 1, 3. Again, we start at the origin. We go over 1, because that's what it says to do, and up 3. So there's our second point. Third point is 2, 4. And you'll see the graph take shape. Now, we only do these with rulers. Okay, I don't want to see any hand-drawn lines. So you will take your ruler and draw a line through those dots, and we're almost done. We're almost finished. But what we have to do now is make sure we name that. And the name of this line is y is equal to x plus 2. And you put that right on the graph. So that's how we take an equation of a line and turn it into points in a t-chart. We do that by substituting, and then we graph it and name it. And that's what we're doing today. So I'm going to do a few more examples, and then you'll be good to go. So let me get another page ready here. Here's a blank one. We'll make this one just a little bit bigger. We'll go y equals 3x minus 2. And again, we start the exact same way. We need a t-chart of x and y values. Remember, x comes before y in the alphabet, so it does as well in your set of ordered points. We're going to continue to use these points right here, although the grade 8s will start to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Maybe I'll even do one question at the end so that they can get the hang of it. And now we simply do the first few points by substituting these numbers into our equation. Now remember, we're trying to figure out what y is, because that's what we don't know here. So we're trying to figure out what y is. And in order to do that, what we're going to do is substitute all of those in. So in the first one, y is equal to 3x minus 2. We simply take that first x value and substitute it. We show substitution with brackets. And what that is 3 times 0 minus 2. That's 0 minus 2, and it equals -2. Because if you have 0 and you take 2 away from 0, you're going to be at -2. Some kids make that mistake and forget all the work we did with our negative and positive integers. But if you're at 0 and you subtract 2 from 0, you will get -2. So yeah, we put that right onto our t-chart. We do the next one. Y equals 3. We substitute the 1 in. This is 3 minus 2. And that answer is 1. So we put that there. And we'll do one more because we could have made a mistake somewhere. And we want to make sure that before we start looking for the pattern, that we've done a few. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. And there is the first 3 points. But we have -2, 1, 4. And we've got to figure out what the pattern is. And if you look at it, you should see it's going up by 3 each time. So if you didn't want to do 2 more substitutions, you can simply continue the pattern like so. And it's not cheating. You've done your math work right here. So you fill the last couple in because you know it's linear and it goes up by the same amount each time. Well, now it comes time that we've got to graph these points. These points on our t-chart are simply points on our Cartesian plane. And I want to make sure I get my line to be slightly smaller so it's not too fat. And remember, here's our origin. That's where we are always starting. The first point is 0, -2. So x, we go left and right, and y, we go up and down. I don't want you to forget that because we just started graphing again, and maybe that's you're having a hard time with that. But that first value tells us that I go 0 to the left or right, but I go down 2. So this will be my first point. The second point is 1, 1, so I go over to +1 and up to +1. There's my second point. And as you follow along, you can see 2, 4, 3, 7, and I can just get in 4, 10 right there. I think that's the end of my graph. We do nothing but use straight lines when we do this with a ruler, and we make sure that that is drawn nice and neatly. And then the last thing we do before ending the question is make sure we label that line so it looks, so we can tell which line we graphed just by looking at it. Please don't label these A, B, C, D, and E, because then you got to go switching between your sheets and your work. I want you to name it right on the graph. All right? That's basically it. I'm going to do one more. I know I'm going a little bit long. I'm going to go one more and show the grade 8s how to do the same stuff, but with, theirs is going to have a negative. So if the 7s want to go back and practice theirs, that's okay, but I'm going to show the grade 8s how to do one with a negative. So I'm going to erase all this stuff here. And we're going to use the same sheet, because we can put more than one graph on the sheet. I'm going to put y is equal to -2x plus 4. All right, and for today, just as we're learning new stuff, I'm still going to use the same 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 as my x values. So if this is -2, and we're going to substitute into it, I'll just write it one more time just so you can see how this works. The first one I'm going to put in is 0. So that's going to be negative 2 times 0 plus 4. Well, negative 2 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. So my first value is 0, 4, my first point that I graph later on. Well, I'm going to continue on. I want to do at least 3. So negative 2 times 1 plus 4. Negative 2 times a positive. Negative times positive is a negative answer. So that's negative 2 plus 4, and that would be equal to 2. And I put that in there in my t-chart. And we'll do one more, and it's negative 2. Again, we're just going back to the original question each time. Negative 2 bracket, we're going to put the 2 in there next because we just go down the t-chart, plus 4. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 4 equals 0. So now that we've done 3 points, we can start to say, what's the pattern here on our y strand? And we got 4, 2, 0, and I think you can see that each number goes down by 2. So you can continue that pattern if you see it, or you can do 2 more questions if you don't. I would hope that you see that and just fill in the rest of it. But it's up to you because we're just starting to learn how to do this. Anyhow, let's plot these points. 0, 4, that's my xy, that's my left-right. I'm going 0 to the left or right, but then I'm going up 4. So there's my first point. The next one is 1, 2. 2, 0, so I went 2 to the right, but 0 up or down. 3, negative 2, and 4, negative 4. Again, your arrows have to be, or sorry, not your arrows, your lines should be nice and neat with a ruler. And if we have to move something, let me move it, because this should be nice and neat. There we go. That's what that line looks like. And you would label it y equals negative 2x plus 4. This is the math we're going to be doing, and this is going to be the end of this strand of algebra. We'll pick it up in a few months from here after we do a bunch of other things. Don't worry, algebra will keep coming in, but this is the end of this part of the unit. So overall, you make a t-chart, you substitute, you graph, and you label. And that's what we're working on for the next couple days. Make sure you ask questions if you have them.